Took your Kirby Vacuum apart and want to get it back together? Then this is the video for you. But don't forget there are links in the description below for the best place to get your Kirby parts and accessories, so make sure you check those out at the end of this video. Hi Kirby fans, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we're going to get that Kirby Avalir serviced and back together. So let's dive straight into it. Now to service your Kirby, you're going to need some wheel bearing grease. There will be a link in the description for this. New fan if your fan was damaged. Some paper towel to wipe away any excess grease. Cable tie, Phillips screwdriver, Torx 25, Torx 20 and a Torx 15. So if you've got a new fan assembly, these are the parts you're going to get. You're going to get a fan, spindle, rear washer and your front bearing cup with a rubber washer that attaches to it as well. We're going to be greasing the old ones because there's nothing wrong with this fan. So first up, we'll get some grease in here. What I like to do is just get any paper towel, just wipe any debris that's got behind that washer. Make sure there's no debris in there. Now we're just going to re-grease in here. You don't need loads, just a spot. Wipe off the excess. This is just to help re-grease that front bearing. Like so. Get your paper towel and just wipe off any excess. Now the only place you want grease, and just a little fraction left there. Now we're going to replace our cup washer or a top hat washer. Slide that in. Again, make sure nothing's oozed out. If anything's oozed out, just give that a wipe. We've got a plastic washer. Drop that on. I'm going to put our fan on. Then our front washer. And then tighten our spindle. Anti-clockwise. It's tightened so much, what you can do, get a small screwdriver, put it in there, just hold the fan and just snap it back, and that should have tightened it up. Now if you want to double check it with a spanner you can. If you've got a 9mm spanner, slot that in, but I just find that snapping what works, they're self-tightening. Put your screwdriver in and you can see there's barely any movement in that. That's as tight as you need it. Now while this is apart, you can shake the brushes. So Phillips screwdriver, and there are only self tappers that go in here, so when we put them back in, don't over tighten it. Bush, just twist, out it pops, and you can see there is plenty on there. So your brush should be around 3/4 to an inch when it's new. If it's wore down and it's literally 1/4 inch, you may want to look at changing it. But this brush is fine. Now these springs can be a bit of a pain sometimes, so if you've got a new brush you'll find that the spring will stick out the side here, so you have to just push it in with the screwdriver and then slide that in. So make sure that's working freely and it's not jamming, and then all we'll do is put this back in here. So you're going to tip it, let it go against your armature, push it in, make sure this slots up here, slide, and that's in. Then we'll just replace our screw. Don't want to over tighten these are self tappers, so they can thread, so just tighten it up until it stops. Same for this side, exactly the same. You just undo that, tip that the opposite way, and that will pop out. Now I've already checked that, so I know this is fine, so it's entirely up to you if you check them. If your one's fine, 9 times out of 10 the other one is, unless it's sticking. So if you're getting arcing, then 9 times out of 10 the brush is sticking. Other than that, these are working fine. Armature's fine, no burn marks, and that's spinning great. This section here does come out. If it's stiff, just give it a bit of a twist. If it doesn't come out, it's because it's full of debris and grime. This is pretty clean, so that will come out like that. Then what I like to do is just get a wet wipe, just clean inside there. And as we flip it over, you can see it will come through there. You can clean all in there, and just make sure it's all nice and dry before we reassemble it. Now because this is a reasonably new machine, there's no debris in there. Make sure you wipe around here and then just pop that back in. Now any rubber seals we were lubricating with our gasket lubricant, you can use silicone spray. I won't do this one yet because I don't want to get covered in it. I'll do this before we fit the bag. So what we'll do now is we'll fit the axle. So we're going to flip this over, and we want to make sure this is all clean in here. Wipe any excess dirty grease out of there. Wiping the excess you've marked over your Kirby just with a wet wipe. So that's that part. We've got our toe touch control, so we're just going to wipe any hairs and grease off there as well. Take the spring out. So we're just going to put a tiny bit of grease in there, just for our spring, and then pop our spring in. So with your front axle, just make sure if there's any grease in there, it's nice and clean, and you've removed any hairs or any debris that's actually in that track there. Onto the main Kirby, we're just going to put a bit of grease in there, so only a light smear, and that's plenty. Now to slide your toe touch control, you're going to slide that in there like so, push that down. Now make sure you do this when it's upside down, so I'll just show you from this position. So it's going to hold it like that, and then what you want is these teeth here to hook into this part here. So hold that there, lift your axle, slide it on those teeth, slide it on there, let go gently, and that will hold its own. Now you can fit your axle clamps. So they're axle clamps, slot them on there like so. Grab your two little screws, one in there, and one in there. So Torx 20. Flip that over, you can check. Total control works fine. Now we're going to slot in our motor, so you've got this section here, and that wants to line up with that section there. It's going to go through there, so line it up, drop it in, grab the front spindle like so, and give that a lift as you pull, and that should sit perfectly flat against there. Double check it's catching. Okay, so what that means is it needs compressing down. Okay, so if you're getting it catching like so, it's because it's not screwed down yet. So when we put those bottom screws in, we're going to press down on there just to make sure that that doesn't catch. So if you've got an issue with it catching, you haven't pushed it down because the rubber seal keeps it off a little bit. Now to stop it falling out, we're going to slot this piece in here. Then we're going to flip it over and tighten up our bottom screws. Now with your bottom screws, they're the two self tappers. One in there and one in there. And they're the Torx 20s. They're the only self tappers you've got that go in the Kirby. And now we'll just tighten those up with the Torx 20. Flip that over. And again, just check it's not catching. That's fine. And now we're going to put these two screws back in here. So you've got two top hat screws. If you've got the early G series with a metal case, there will be an earth strap. So make sure that earth strap is on, and then this bolt will go through it. With the Avalir, there's no earth strap. So next up, we're going to fit our hood assembly. Now with our hood assembly, we've got two wires to connect. You've got the small one here, and that's just going to go in there, right next to that screw. We'll grab our other one, and we're going to slide that in there, like so, and then just slide that yellow sleeve up. Okay, make sure you've not pulled any wires out. And now we're going to spin this 180 degrees. Put that on there. Okay, now don't forget that's what's in there. We had a nice cable tie round here. Put our cable tie round. Okay, make sure that's fully up, and just cable tie that, and that will keep those wires away. What you don't want is the wires sitting this side, because there's a chance of it catching on your tech drive belt and wearing away. Now just snip that off, and now we'll just put our two screws in here and our forward screws. Now we've got our two Torx 20s, so just tighten those loosely. What I like to do is get the front screws in first before I tighten those down. So now hold it there, lift the hood, and we've got two screws here. Right, so we've got two long screws. Those are just going to go in the top, one there, and one there. And we'll just tighten those up. Let's slot our tech drive back in, make sure it's in drive. You're going to lift that up, lift this bar up, and just slide it up. Just slide that through. Then we get our belt, so move that, that will drop down. Get our belt, feed it through there, So you want it to sit on there, and then as we push this up, you want it to sit on there, like so. Now that's in situ, make sure your belt's on, so it's turning. Put it in neutral, and then we'll flip it over. Put in our 3 screws, 1, 2, 3, and we'll tighten those up. Now if you tech drawer jut out, then I've got a video on how to lubricate this part here, and I will link to a video on how to do that. So this flange here has got a little hole and it's got to go on this hook here. So I'm going to lift it on. So we've got our Torx 25s. Just lift this plastic up, hold that down, slide it forward, and these want to go central. You should be able to roughly see where the screws went before. Roughly central. 25mm Torx. And there shouldn't be any movement in that when you've refitted it. So if there's sideways movement, you tighten this screw here down, just slowly, and then keep checking it until there's no sideways movement. If there's no sideways movement, then don't adjust it. Now we're going to fit our on-off switch. What I like to do is just put a tiny bit of grease, not loads, just a little tad, just on there. So what we're going to do then is lift this bar up here, hold it with that hand, and then we're going to attach this part here onto there. Like so. Let that slide down, slot that on there, and that's working fine. Now we're going to reattach our cord. So you slot it in there, push. So we want our cover plate, so tip your screws out, and with your cover plate, slot it in the bottom first. What we're going to do is hook it in the bottom, lift it up, make sure that lead slots in, push, and then pull back. And then just line that up, so push it forward a bit so you can see self-tapper, and put our self-tapper in. And tighten that up. Now just check your lead. It's what these tend to do, and I don't know if it's applied by Kirby to replace leads, but these tend to split here, and then what you'll get is a break in the lead. So whether that's from the movement of that wire, I'm not too sure, but we'll just get the lid back on now. Now if you took these off, make sure you slide them back on. Now to lift this on, just going to lift it over here, drop it down, and that should fit perfect. If it's not fitting correctly, then you've got this in the wrong spot, but if you've put it on that front fork, then that's fine. They've got 2 screws in the back and 2 in the front. So we'll flip it around, lift the hood, and we're going to fit the 2 top screws, and they are countersunk, so make sure you've got the 2 countersunk heads. Slot those in there and loosely tighten them. And then we'll tighten them up. So just turn them anti-clockwise first to make sure it's lined up, and then slowly tighten it. If it gets tight, then it's threading, so don't tighten it up. Now 2 screws, I've got a little top hat on them. These are Torx 15, so you can line your lead up. And then tighten these up. Fit your rear cover plate, so lift, slide up. Now our portable head's cleaned, so it's all clean inside. So we're going to assemble our bumper, so fit your bumper first. Make sure that is hooking on nice and neat, so it's not snagging. Make sure the front's on, like so you've got room for your clips to go through there. So as long as that's nice, all and even, then we'll get our brush roll fitted. Now with your brush roll, you've got a magnet this side, and the white part of your brush roll is the side with the ball bearing for the magnet. So what I do is, there's notches on here and numbers. So start with 3, go 2, and then number 1, which is there. That's that setting. Same on this side, we're going to find number 3, go back to number 2, then number 1, and then slot that in there, like so. That's turning freely. So now we'll fit our scuff plate. So with our scuff plate, you've got 2 hooks on the front here. Get our hooks, hook our scuff plate in, like so. Make sure that's all in, nice and neat. That should fold back with ease. Flip that over. And that is now ready to go on our Kirby. So make sure your Kirby's fully raised up. Slot your head on, belt's not wound on. Hook that on. And that's one service Kirby. The only thing left to do, like I said, is just put some lubricant around here. Now there will be links in the description of everything I used today. So just put some gasket sealant around. And what this does, and this is what Kirby use themselves, it just stops that rubber deteriorating. So it's a bit like a rubber protector at the end of the day. And that's ready to rock and roll. Don't forget everything used in the video today. There are links in the description below for the best place to get your Kirby products and accessories, so make sure you check those out at the end of this video. Now I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. As you can see, it's really easy to service your Kirby yourself. The only issue with servicing your Kirby yourself, if it's under 3 years, it could avoid your warranty. So if you've still got warranty with it, just check with Kirby whether you can service it yourself. I'm pretty sure there'll be a clause that's saying if you serviced it and things go wrong, they will void that warranty. Those who are new to the channel, if you're getting value out of this content, then contemplate showing support by slapping that subscribe button. It's absolutely free. Ding that bell for notifications so you don't miss any good episodes. Give us a big thumbs up and comment down below. I will reply to the comment, and if you like what you comment, I'll pin it to the video. So what we'll do is cut to any bloopers, and I'll catch you in the next one. So again, those new to the channel, if you're getting value out of this content, then contemplate showing your support. So again, those new to do that,